I want to start by asking you something straight, honestly. When was the last time you felt completely connected to your partner at the end of the day? Not just physically, but emotionally? When you could go to bed without tension, worry, or that quiet distance creeping into your relationship? I had a 68-year-old patient, let's call him James, who came into my office completely devastated. He and his wife had been married for 40 years, but lately it felt like they were just roommates. They slept on opposite sides of the bed. They barely touched. And James, he was convinced it was his fault because his body wasn't performing like it used to. Here's the twist. The solution wasn't a prescription. It wasn't a pill, a procedure, or some quick fix. What turned James's life around was a simple nighttime ritual, 20 to 30 minutes before bed, that rebuilt connection, presence, and emotional intimacy. Within 3 months, James told me, "Dr. Jocelyn, you saved my marriage." Before we dive in, do me a favor. Hit the like button and drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. I want to see who's ready to reclaim connection in their relationship. Here's the truth many men over 60 don't realize. Intimacy is not primarily about physical function. It's about connection, presence, communication, and emotional safety. I'm Dr. Jocelyn, and I've spent the past 5 years helping men and couples navigate changes in their intimate lives. The biggest myth I see tearing relationships apart is this: if my body isn't working like it used to, there's nothing left to intimacy. That's just not true. In fact, research shows that for long-term partners, emotional connection, feeling desired, and meaningful touch matter far more than physical performance. The real problem isn't the changes in your body, it's how men respond to them. They withdraw, avoid affection, stop initiating, and in doing so, create a chasm that grows larger by the day. That's exactly what James was doing. He stopped kissing his wife goodnight. No cuddles, no hand-holding, silence replaced connection. And his wife, she felt rejected, unwanted, and confused. But James's story and the ritual he used proves that connection can be rebuilt. Tonight, I'm going to walk you through that ritual step by step so you can try it tonight without pressure, without shame, and with hope. James's situation is not unique. In my 5 years as a urologist, I've guided dozens of men facing similar challenges: reduced physical performance, anxiety around intimacy, and the resulting emotional distance. And here's what I consistently see. The men who maintain healthy relationships aren't necessarily those with perfect physical function. They're the ones who stay connected emotionally, who make small, intentional efforts every day to show up for their partners. Now, let's break it down. The ritual James followed has 5 components. It's designed to take 20 to 30 minutes every night, right before bed, and it focuses on presence, connection, and non-demand intimacy. Stick with me, because each step is backed by biology, psychology, and practical real-life experience. And if you stay until the end, I'll share the one conversation James had that completely shifted his marriage and how you can use it to start your own transformation. The ritual isn't about fixing your body immediately. It's about creating a safe, consistent environment where intimacy can naturally return, regardless of age or physical changes. Before we go into the steps, here's a mini reality check. Step 1 alone, turning off screens, can seem impossible at first, but without it, the ritual loses half its power. Step 2, intentional conversation can feel awkward at first, but if you push through the discomfort, it lays the foundation for everything else. Step 3, non-demand touch. This is often the hardest for men because we've been taught to tie intimacy directly to performance, but this is where real change begins. And I promise you, it works. James went from sleeping on opposite sides of the bed to reconnecting emotionally, physically, and yes, his marriage was saved. Component number 1, no screens 30 minutes before bed. James's first step was simple but transformative. Turn off all screens at least 30 minutes before bed. Phones, tablets, TV, everything. Why this matters biologically. Blue light from screens suppresses melatonin production. Poor sleep doesn't just make you tired. It affects energy, mood, hormone levels, and even sexual function. Emotionally, screens create psychological distance. Even if you're in the same room, you're alone together. Turning screens off says, "You are my priority right now. We are present with each other." Practically, set a nightly alarm for 9 p.m. When it goes off, put screens in another room. No exceptions. James told me, the first few nights were hard. I didn't realize how addicted I was to my phone. But after a week, I realized I was actually talking to my wife again. Component number 2, 10 minutes of intentional conversation. After screens were off, James and his wife spent 10 minutes truly talking. Not about bills, logistics, or problems. About their day, their feelings, and thoughts. Real conversation. Why this matters biologically. Meaningful conversation increases oxytocin, the bonding hormone. It reduces cortisol, lowering stress and creating relaxation. Emotionally, this reminds you that you like each other, that you're partners, not roommates, that connection is still alive. Practically, set a timer for 10 minutes. Take turns sharing, listen without interrupting, ask questions, be curious. James said, "We hadn't really talked in months. Once we started this, I realized how much I'd missed her." Component number 3, 5 minutes of non-demand physical affection. This was the game changer. Every night, James and his wife spent 5 minutes in physical touch with no expectation. This could be holding hands, gentle massage, cuddling, stroking hair. Biologically, touch releases oxytocin, lowers cortisol, reduces blood pressure, and activates the parasympathetic system, your rest and digest mode. Emotionally, no pressure means no anxiety. James could touch his wife without thinking, "Will I perform?" She could receive touch without feeling obligated. Trust and comfort grew naturally. Practically, agree on touch that feels good for both. Set a timer, just be present. No expectations. James shared, "This was terrifying at first, but once I realized it wasn't going to lead to pressure, I could enjoy closeness again." Component number 4, deep breathing together. Next, lie together and practice slow, synchronized breathing for 3 minutes. Biology. Synchronized breathing activates the parasympathetic nervous system, lowers heart rate, and creates physiological attunement between partners. Emotionally, without words, you feel in sync. You reconnect on a deep subconscious level. Practical steps. Lie together, hand on chest. Inhale for 4 counts, hold 4, exhale 6. Repeat 3 minutes. James said, "It felt weird at first, but after a few nights, it became my favorite part. I felt connected to her in a way I hadn't in years." Component number 5, express gratitude and affection. Finally, each partner expresses one thing they're grateful for about the other and says, "I love you." Psychologically, positive closure before sleep creates emotional safety. It shifts focus from faults to appreciation. Emotionally, hearing gratitude reinforces love and connection. Practically, keep it simple. Share one specific compliment or acknowledgement. Say, "I love you." James said, "I hadn't told my wife I loved her in months. Doing this nightly reminded both of us why we'd stayed together for 40 years, why this ritual saves marriages." Removes performance pressure, restores emotional connection, improves sleep quality, hormones, mood, energy, creates consistency and anticipation, focuses on connection, not limitations. Research shows non-demand touch plus consistent emotional connection predicts long-term relationship satisfaction far more than physical performance. 3 months later, James told me, "My wife and I are closer than we've been in a decade. We laugh, we touch, we talk." Physical intimacy improved, but connection was the real win, the one conversation that changed everything. Before starting, James had a vulnerable conversation with his wife. "I've been avoiding you physically because I'm afraid. Afraid I'll disappoint you, but avoiding you pushed you away. I love you. I want closeness. Can we try something different?" His wife responded with tears, sharing her confusion and longing. That conversation laid the foundation for transformation. Your daily action plan? Have a vulnerable conversation. Introduce the nighttime ritual. Commit for 30 days every night, no exceptions. Adjust components to suit your relationship. Track connection, sleep quality, mood, and intimacy. Remember, even with perfect physical function, without emotional connection, intimacy suffers. Both matter. Both deserve attention. Your relationship isn't over. You aren't broken. The problem isn't your body. It's the distance created by fear and silence. Hit the like button if this gives you hope. Share it with someone who needs it. Subscribe for compassionate, practical guidance. James saved his marriage not by fixing his body, but by rebuilding connection. The physical improvements followed naturally. You can do the same. Starting tonight, have the conversation, implement the ritual, commit for 30 days. Your partner, your relationship, and your own peace of mind are worth it.